Hello and welcome to episode 327 of the Player One podcast for Monday, January 28th, 2013. I'm your host, Chris Johnston. With me, as always, is my co-host, a man who trying to increase the peace in Canada, Greg Stewart.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Increase the peace. And joining
how
us...
are you spelling peace in that, by the way? Because
It was
trying to
literally-
increase the peace, P-I-E-C-E.
That's the one.
Okay,
Increase
good.
the piece of cake.
Increase the
You need
peace.
to increase your peace, Greg. I'll forward you some websites.
Yes, and joining us from the great state of Utah is a man who knows the answer to what would an AI know about freedom, Mr. Mike Phillips.
I do know the answer. I don't know the reference.
I used to like it better when you didn't do intros at all.
These are quotes from the Metal Gear Rising.
Revengers of Vengeance demo?
Revengers of Vengeance demo. Yeah.
I played that demo on mute, and I think I probably had a better experience.
What, the acting is golden in that demo.
Mm.
Best.
I would, yeah. Golden
Raiden
Shower.
is awesome.
Everyone's favorite character.
That's right.
Hoo
Yeah,
boy.
so not with us this week is the one person who could make
We're
sense
one
of
host
Metal
short.
Gear lore, Mr. Phil Theobald. He is sick. this
Nobody
week.
wants to hear a hoarse Bane voice. That's how we made the determination. If you can't-
Yes!
yeah,
Yeah.
if you can't do it at full intensity, then he's off the show.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's really, it's in his contract, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Yeah. So I guess we could start talking about the Metal Gear demo since we already sort of referenced it.
I am
Let's do
terrible
that.
at that game.
Is there a way to
Yeah.
be good at that game? Man, when you
Apparently.
go into the little target mode with the right stick, things
Yeah,
go all
that's-
sorts of bananas and the
yeah,
camera goes
that's-
haywire and good lord.
Yeah. See, in the tutorial, that's really the only thing they teach you how to do. So I thought, oh, that's how the combat works, I guess. And I didn't realize I could also hit triangle and square to do things. So I was almost, well, the first 5 minutes of the demo, I guess, I was trying to get as close to enemies as possible, hitting L1 and trying to slice.
I wasn't that stupid.
That was stupid of me.
You need to
of
pay
course.
attention to what they say to you and what text pops up on the screen a little bit more, I think.
No, I did that later. I learned my lesson
My God.
much later and did a little bit better at the demo.
It is kind of neat to have that as like the coup de grace after you've comboed them into oblivion and then you go into that little target mode and just slice the bejesus out of them. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But man, the camera does go, at least for me, the camera went all over the
Skyward?
place as I'm doing that. I'm looking up, I'm looking down, my sword's going all over hell, and I'm just hoping that I'm slicing them up.
Yeah,
I
a
didn't
couple
know,
times the camera went the opposite direction of the enemy. Now I'm looking at the sky in the opposite direction. How did that happen?
Yeah.
Not what I wanted to do. It's not what I meant to do.
I found I had the most trouble when the Metal Gear cows started attacking, and why do different parts of their bodies start to?
I thought you
highlight
said
blue?
Metal Gear cows.
That's what I said.
You said cows?
They moo.
Okay. Must have missed that. I didn't-
Didn't you hear
Okay.
it when it hopped in? Don't you hear them? They moo.
I played it on mute.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned that.
Okay. Well, they move.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know because
A
If you
Metal
attack
Gear
them enough-
says moo. Yeah.
if you attack them, enough, like their legs and eventually the body will turn blue.
Right.
Yeah.
I assume that means you can slice them up at that point.
I think so. That seems
Yeah.
to be how I was experiencing it.
Right, so that was where I had the camera issues when I went into this whole slicey choppy mode, Fruit Ninja mode. When I went into Fruit Ninja mode,
Yeah.
and they're still moving, it's really hard to do anything. But otherwise, I really dug it a lot. I had to change the demo to easy. To
I
finish
did that
it.
immediately. I didn't even bother on normal.
I got almost to the end on normal, and then I just swapped it to easy because I realized I'm really bad at the game. So, what's the point in suffering?
Good
I'm
point.
not going to get better.
One of the things that I could see annoying me if I were to play the full game, and I'm not saying that I will, I like the stealth kills. I hate the fact that the stealth kill goes into that same cinematic that takes about 15 seconds every time and freezes on the shot of him holding the sword through someone's chest, and it just like sits there for a second, and then it goes back to playing the game. That's going to get annoying, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. I was totally happy with it, to be honest. I pre-ordered it I kind of half wasn't sure about the game, but I pre-ordered it anyway because it was part of a really good deal that was on for Best Buy. Now I'm happy that I did. I am actually looking forward to it now that I played the demo. Even though
when is this game coming out? Anyway, is it a spring release?
I think it's like February, isn't it?
It is?
I think so.
It's not on my radar at all.
I'd go
not
look,
a Metal
but
Gear.
I don't want my computer to crash again, so...
Did you already delete the demo and free up 3.5 gigabytes on your hard drive? That demo is 3.5 gigs. Crazy.
It's all that high def video and all those quality kills. You gotta have
and all that awesome dialogue.
Texture mapping on each speck of blood, perfect. So
yeah.
They're like walking vending machines. That was a great line.
Oh my god. The dialogue is just like, oh, it's so ridiculous.
Are they even trying to
brutal.
be serious at this point? I mean, it seems like it is a cheesy 80s action movie taken to an extreme.
And then that like god awful endless dialogue between Raiden and the first boss about the nature of freedom and
sounds very Metal Gear.
Oh, it was terrible.
And that thing's dying breath, the freedom undefined.
Yeah, it just goes on and on, and it's
the
like,
stuff.
Die.
Yeah. Not winning an Oscar with that performance. No.
But you know what? It'll fit. It'll fit the game. The game's going to have like sort of that cheesy. It's like it's as over the top as the dialogue you expect in a Kojima game.
Yeah.
But the gameplay is just as over the top. It looks like. So I mean, it's all going to fit. I think it's going to be really enjoyable for a lot of good reasons and a lot of.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
A lot of.
Oh, did I?
You went max headroom on us.
You did. You paused there for a second.
It's a new app for Google. It's a Google app.
I like it. So you think it's going to be good for a lot of good reasons and a lot of cheesy reasons, or something like that?
Yeah. I think as long as you're able to laugh at it, it'll be fun.
Over the last 3 or 4 Metal Gear games now, I think people have been conditioned to learn that Kojima is just layering it on. Yeah, and that too.
You can't say insane, by the way, without prefacing it with batshit. That is the prefix for insane. You have to say batshit.
Batshit.
Attaboy.
Baldness. All right. Should we talk about? Let's talk about Ni no Kuni.
Ni no Kuni.
Ni no Kuni.
Everybody was really down on this after the demo.
It was a terrible demo.
Everybody bought it.
It was a bad demo. I will say, but everybody apparently bought it. I was gonna hold off, and then I saw that all 3 of you bought it.
It's just so pretty.
I caved. It is. It is so pretty.
It's really pretty. I'll tell you what else it is. It's really goddamn fun. It's an excellent little RPG. I'm enjoying the hell out of it so far. I'm like,
how many hours are you in?
4 or 5, so not a ton, but enough that I've got a couple familiars, 2 or 3 familiars with me, and I have some different equipment and some different clothing, and I'm exploring some new areas, and it's really fun.
Yeah, I'm on my way to the desert area.
I think that's where I'm headed to. You're in like a forest with a bunch of mushrooms and stuff.
Yep, I just got to the mushroom area. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm only like 2 hours. I just finished the forest because I'm in the middle of also hating Paper Mario to death. So
yeah.
So I'm kind of moving back and forth between the two. So
So this game is pretty dark when it starts off, huh? I mean,
I was not expecting that intro at all.
Death of your mother thing, and then your tears is what brings Mr. Drippy to life.
Mr. Drippy.
Mr. Drippy is
He's
awesome.
a great character. Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
Like, you look at him, when you first see him, it's like, that's dumb. And then he's just like the best character ever, almost immediately.
Yeah.
The accent doesn't hurt.
Although I will say it's kind of hard to read the text. Like, there's not a whole lot of voice acting in the game after you get to the area where Mike and I are at, and I find that reading his Welsh accent is kind of distracting.
Yeah, the way they spell some of the words is kind of weird to
Yeah.
try to compensate for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
there's sort of
spelling
a
everything
phonetic
out
spelling of everything.
phonetically, and hour is like
OUER or something like that.
and it makes me stumble over those lines.
Yeah. It's a
more
little
than it
goofy.
should. Yeah.
I'll tell you though, every time I turn that game on, I just get this Grandia vibe. I don't know if you guys played that or not.
Yeah,
I
I
did
played
not.
Grandia
By
on
the
PS1.
deafening silence. You did, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It might just be the soundtrack, like the orchestrated soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
But man, like just the presentation in that game in general is just mind blowing. Like nothing else looks nearly as good as that game.
I love the overworld map with the.
It looks like a painting.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. And the fact that you can move it all around while you're out there, it's like, oh wait, I'm controlling this. And yeah, the overworld is awesome. The music is great.
That's just it. The first time you see it, you almost expect that you're going to just be given like waypoints over some 2D like bitmap, and then when you realize that you're actually looking at a 3D world, it's just mind blowing.
Yeah. One of the things that I did not expect and may sound blasphemous, the actual kind of 2D animated cutscenes, I find not as enjoyable as the 3D animated cutscenes that are done in the engine. Like, I like the ones in the engine better than the sort of traditional Studio Ghibli, painted 2D stuff.
That's because you're the devil.
I might be the devil.
I think it depends which scenes it is, because like there was the scene when you get to Mr. Drippy's world where all of those bulls are sort of running over, you're in that stampede, and I think, isn't that traditionally animated, or is it
yes. No, it is not.
Okay. Well, they didn't do a whole lot of action scenes in the Studio Ghibli 2D traditional.
Right.
So it doesn't look great. You're not like, oh shit, this looks awesome, because it's not an action scene. It's just like two characters talking or little situations occurring.
Yeah. But like the Cat King, I like the Cat King better rendered in the engine than I do drawn, in the 2D animation, basically. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's more just a testament to how good the game looks in general, like the game and the way the characters look, the cell shading and that, they just look incredible.
Yeah.
And I love the combat system. I think the combat system is really, really fun, especially as you get more familiars in your troop and you have, more options to dink around with and swapping in and out of them, and all of that is really fun.
I dig the combat system a lot now too. Now that I'm learning it from the ground up as opposed to being tossed into the deep end like you were in the demo.
Yeah, that was a big mistake.
Yeah. Now that I know how it works, I really dig it. And I know that I don't know everything about it yet because I've only got one familiar. And apparently there's like all kinds of interrupting and stuff that you can do as well if you time your attacks properly.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen yet.
And then you have some familiars that specialize in different, like you have one that can put enemies to sleep, so you'll swap him in, put him to sleep, switch back to your other guy, and beat the tar out of them while they're dozing. So there are all sorts of fun things you can do with the combat system. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I don't really like is in the dungeons, I think the enemies respawn way too quickly.
They
It's
do
like you turn
respawn
the
pretty
corner
fast.
and you get you open up a treasure chest, and you're on your way back. Oh, that enemy that you just finished battling is back.
Yeah, which makes it seem like it might get kind of grindy, and I think I've seen people complain that it does get a little bit grindy, but I don't know why, but in JRPGs I kind of like grindy. Like, I like being able to just go out in the overworld and just kill a bunch of monsters and level my guys up for a while, so I can be overpowered in the next dungeon for a little while. I think that's fun.
Well, and the cool thing about that is they have that whole task system So in the Ding Dong Dell town, you can sort of sign up for side quests
Yeah.
and go on, hunting missions, bounty hunter missions, and you can get not only some grinding done, but you can actually, get some rewards for doing that stuff too, which is great.
Yep.
If you're
Yeah.
into that sort of thing. I don't think I'll be doing a whole lot of that.
Are you playing on easy, CJ?
What do you think?
I am
no,
as well.
Letting the listeners know.
No, I started playing on normal.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you guys playing on?
I'm
Easy.
playing on easy.
I switched it to easy. When was it? It was it was right when I got into the sewer area.
What, did you find it difficult on normal, or like is it difficult on normal? Because on easy, it's been a cakewalk, but I'm still at the beginning of the game.
It's not difficult to start with. When like the first boss battle is fine. I only died once on that one. But then once I got in,
harder than easy.
once I got into the sewer area, the first fight in there against two enemies, I got screwed completely.
Yeah, I think what happens on easy is you sort of lull yourself into, because it's so easy at the beginning, you kind of stop paying attention to what you're doing, and it gets to a point where you have to keep an eye on things or you will get screwed. So
yes,
it's
that's
easy,
exactly
but you have to pay attention to what's going on.
That I don't mind. The whole reason that I chose to play on easy was more to try to avoid excessive grinding. I'm hoping that's what easy means.
That you don't have to replay a section 10 times. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't play a lot of RPGs anymore, and that's one of the reasons why. Because they're just such a time sink, and I feel like I don't have that kind of time. But this was getting such good reviews, and like I said, I loved everything I read about it and saw about it, that I decided to jump in anyway. But if it gets to the point where I'm spending like even 5 hours total grinding or something like that, I'm not going to be. I don't know how much I'll stick with it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. If I'm committing to playing a 60-hour RPG, I don't want 20 of those to be me replaying shit.
Right. I want it to be 60 hours. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's part of. You can switch back and forth anytime you want. By the way.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
I saw
cool.
that.
I didn't know that.
You just go into the options screen, switch it, and find out how hard normal is.
Huh.
For some people, normal is going to be really easy. Like if you're really familiar with JRPGs in general, I'm sure normal is going to be fine for you. But for those of us with kids and limited game time,
that's a good excuse. I like falling back on that one too.
The kid excuse is awesome.
Hell yeah. Yeah, but it looks great. I mean, I bought it. I ended up buying it digitally because.
Really?
Yeah, as it turns out, no shops near me were selling it, and Amazon, when I went to order it on Thursday, was ships in 1 to 3 weeks.
Oof.
So I was like,
what
screw
happened?
that, I'll just download it.
That's weird. Like, and then you've heard the whole debacle about the special editions, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say you should have ordered it from Namco and gotten the special edition.
Yeah, but weren't the majority of those people who ordered it in like the extra copies that they reopened in January? Like not the people.
Well, from what I heard, people were randomly
ago.
getting them canceled, and some people got them and some people didn't, and like it didn't. There didn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it from what I've read.
And
I kind of wish
there was that place. There was that place in Canada that got like 100 or 200 copies of it, and were selling them on eBay for an inflated price.
For like $400 or something, I think is what it's going for now.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, I would really love to have that Wizard's like a physical copy of that Wizard's Companion to use while I'm playing.
Yeah.
But
you know what? It's the internet. You can find a copy of the Wizard's Companion.
Yeah, apparently there's a copy out there. There's like a PDF out there right now that people are using.
I downloaded it the other day.
Oh, really? Is it cool?
Pirate.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
I think the moral of the story is just don't buy special editions.
Well, yeah.
Or if you have to, order them early instead of waiting to the last minute.
Or don't buy them.
Or just don't buy them.
Or just download what you want.
Or just download
Or just download them like
CJ.
does. Downloadable special editions.
Yeah. 21 gigabyte download for the game.
Really? That's not insignificant. Wow.
Yeah, I ordered it in the morning, or I bought it in the morning and just let it go all day.
So the thing about this is, if you had, I mean, in thinking about it being a 60-hour RPG and me not wanting that, I'm pretty sure I'm going to play this through to the end because I'm having enough fun with it that I want to keep going. It may take me ages, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to stick with it.
This is your Skyward Sword for 2013?
This is my Skyward. So look forward to hearing about Ni no Kuni every week for the next 7 months here on the Player One podcast.
It'll be the same with me because I totally plan on. That's what I'm going to be doing is just pecking away at it for months.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm not marathoning this thing at all because I want to play other games. And with the amount of playtime that I normally get, even if I was to concentrate on this alone, I'd still be playing it for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not happening.
And there are lots of good games coming very soon too.
Exactly.
So it's
Oh my
going to
God,
be difficult to mainline this
An
one,
avalanche.
basically.
Yeah.
An avalanche of games. Speaking of which, do we want to talk about the Dead Space 3 demo, Mike? Your experience with it?
We don't need to. I
Just
really
gloss
liked
over
it.
it real quick.
The Lost Planet 3 demo?
It made me very excited to be back in that game. I don't know. I just really like Dead Space games. It felt good to me. I don't know how much I'm going to love taking cover in Dead Space, but
How's the cover system work? Somebody tell me, because I deleted the demo before I even knew there was a cover system.
not great, but
Okay.
it's all right. I'm hoping that it's used sparingly. I'm hoping that there aren't people shooting at you very much, because I would rather fight monsters than dudes shooting at me. So,
Yep.
Amen to that.
yeah, we'll see.
Although
But now you have
I
monsters
like
shooting
shooting
at
it.
you.
I like
Right.
shooting at dudes shooting at me and then having them get attacked by monsters.
That's
That
pretty cool.
is pretty nice.
Yeah, I did like that.
That's karma.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like the spectacle of those games and big creepy shit, and the sequence toward the end of the demo where you're kind of falling out of the train, Uncharted style. All of that stuff gets me going. So I'm cool with it. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. And coming out on the same day is Sly Cooper 4 Thieves in Time.
The
An
Coop.
avalanche.
And it's a virtual avalanche of software, yeah. And this past week, Sony released a demo for PlayStation Plus owners. I downloaded that shit immediately because I am a Sly Cooper fanboy.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, same
And
here.
Sanzaru Games, I think, did a wonderful job on this game. Like, it really felt like a throwback to Sly Cooper 1, and I loved the platforming. I thought Bentley was actually fun to play.
Yeah, that's where you always feel like, oh shit, now I have to control one of the secondary characters. But man, playing as Bentley was really fun, especially those little Tron-like levels where you have to get the firewalls down and use the tanks, and that whole thing was really cool. I did not expect that.
Wasn't that one of the other
really well
games?
done. Yeah, they had something similar. I forget if it's Sly 1 or 2.
2, I think.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
that sounds about right. But I thought it was better here, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
fun,
That demo was great. That demo put to rest any worries I had about Sanzaru doing the Sly game instead of Sucker Punch.
Well, Murray's
they get it.
combat still sucks.
Yeah, I think that's just the character more than anything else, right?
Yeah,
And
that's-
that's kind of a
yeah.
boring character for that type of game.
yeah, that's the secondary character I will not want to play as. But Bentley,
That's right. He
I
doesn't
think I
have
like-
a floating wheelchair. I mean, the floating wheelchair Bentley has is pretty awesome.
I think
Yeah.
I liked Murray better when you were just protecting him using a gun turret or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, and the few little driving sections that they had in the first game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the demo's awesome. I mean, the old demo that came out wasn't bad. It was pretty light on
It was
story.
bad. It was
No, well,
bad. Yeah, it was
from a
bad.
control
actually
standpoint
bad.
is what I mean. All right, fine, it was a bad demo.
Well, we're gonna
But the
we're gonna
controls
throw
were
you
good.
into this throwaway level that comes later in the game, and it takes you 5 minutes to finish, and you're done. Like, we're gonna show off some 6-axis awesomeness right here, and then be done with it.
So anyway, this was a good demo.
That's my impressions of the previous
Wow.
Sly demo
Okay.
right there.
it does feel an awful lot
noise.
like Sly 1, but that is not a bad thing at all.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think probably Sly 2 is my favorite Sly game so far, but Sly 1, I don't know. I love Sly 1. The simplicity of it.
Yep.
Yeah, being like Sly 1 is definitely not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all. And I'm
stuff.
excited about the cross buy.
Yeah. What is that game? Is that going to be $60 or is that a $40
That's a
game?
40
Look at
$40
that,
game.
$40 for both versions. That is amazing.
And Shop of the Future here in Canada is currently having a trade one for $40 thing going on. So they have like a list of specific games you can trade in for a $40 certificate, and Nintendo Land is one of them.
They'll
And
give you $40 for Nintendo
for
Land?
Nintendo Land.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
So I think Nintendo Land is buying me Sly next week. Because
Shit, I would trade in Nintendo Land and then just buy it digitally.
Yeah, I
I'd
just
take the money and buy it digitally because it's a
Nintendo Land
It
is
would be a nice
bye-bye.
game to have. I actually wish that the deluxe edition had come with it preloaded onto the hard drive.
Isn't that game $60?
Yeah,
yeah.
So you would trade
$60.
it in for 40 and rebuy it for 60?
I would do that. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Are you an accountant by any chance?
No, and I think it's clear why I'm not at this point.
Nintendo Land was a huge flop at our place. Nobody's
Really?
interested in it. The kids did not care
Oh
one
man!
whit about
harsh.
it. So
Wow. I think it's
neither
really
do
fun.
I.
I
No.
love it. Anyway, let's see what else we got on here. Let's talk about the cave.
The Cave. I'm curious, you guys just played the demo, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm curious how much and which part of the game the demo is, because that could seriously, again, talking about bad demos, that could seriously color your impression.
It
Of the game.
I think it's the beginning.
you basically go to the
Yeah.
gift shop and then you go in and you find like 3 postcards
Yeah.
for whatever the 3 characters are that you're controlling, and then at one point you get into this one area where it's a giant chasm.
Yeah,
With,
and you
like-
jump down there and it ends. The
And
demo.
it ends. Yeah,
So
you jump down
basically, the demo is the part of the game where I was playing the game saying, man, this game kind of sucks. And I thought that it was supposed to have character and charisma and personality, and instead it's just kind of boring and tedious. And the different
It was a little
characters don't
tedious.
really make any difference. They're just
Yes.
different skins.
That was
Yeah.
the big thing. I actually liked the demo from a standpoint of I liked the narration, and
Yeah.
I kind of liked the mechanics. But the big thing was it felt like it didn't matter what characters I chose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
were all
that-
doing the exact same thing.
Huge missed opportunity, too, because at the end of the demo, it just throws up this wall of text, hoping that you're going to read it and buy the game, when they should show you a movie
Video.
of
Yeah.
the things that are coming later if you buy it.
Yeah, that
And,
is really unfortunate, because playing that part of the game, like I bought it right off the bat because I thought, poor Double
you buy
Fine.
everything at Double Fine?
Well, Double Fine just can't get anything funded, and I feel really bad for them. I feel like I kind of need to give them my dollars, because that's really the only way that they can make games anymore.
Yeah.
So I bought it.
Wow.
Except that this one's published by Sega, so
yeah.
really you gave your money to Sega.
Well, who would give them money to make a game? It just
Well,
doesn't
they
make
need
any
to,
No,
I
that's
mean,
true. That's true.
they've got
Support
that
good
relic bill to
developers.
pay off now, so
sense. Right.
they need our money too.
But so I started playing it. I thought it looked neat. It looked like the kind of game I would like. It reminded me a little bit of Trine, which is a game that I really enjoy. So
Yeah.
I bought it and I started playing it. And yeah,
Also,
I
the
thought,
jumping physics are very similar to Little Big Planet, so I can
you can eat my anus is what you can
That's awesome.
do. But yeah, you
Little
start
Big Planet
out
Karting,
and
the game that $10 is still way too expensive.
you're out
Too
of your
much.
mind, because that game is awesome.
That
I started
game is
playing
terrible.
that some more. It is not terrible.
That,
it is
that
really,
the controls
really
in
good.
that game are god awful.
I prefer the controls in that game to the way Sonic and All Stars controls. Okay,
See, you're
I
just
said it.
now you're just being mean now.
So you start the cave, and you pick from these 7 different characters, 7 wildly different characters, and you start playing the game. And for the first hour and a half, I can't figure out why it makes a difference who you pick. They each have a little special ability, but none of them come into play for a really long time.
I didn't even
And-
know they had special abilities.
Yeah, they each have
Yeah, me
special
neither.
abilities. So, like the 3 that I chose were the Time Traveler, the Knight, and the Twins, the creepy little twins.
They're
Um,
awesome.
Indeed. So the Knight, if you hit the button, he is invincible. So you can fall from any height and it won't kill him, and you can have fire on you and it won't hurt him, etc. The Time Traveler can warp through open or closed gates as long as they're not like solid doors. She can like warp through them. And the Twins can leave a shadow of themselves behind, so you can like pull a lever and then hit their special ability, and they stay holding the lever, and you can still move them, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
But none of those really come into play in the first area, and it's a really boring, generic cave. But what happens is you hit a point where it branches off, and in my case, it went to the knight's individual storyline. So they each have their own individual area, and the knight's storyline is he needs to rescue a princess for the king so that he can, advance through the level. And it's a castle with all sorts of different areas in it, and a dragon, and things that are very unique to the knight and are much more interesting than the first area. But you wouldn't know that from playing the demo.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
So it went into the knight's story, but then does that mean that the other two characters that you chose, you're going to be doing their stories?
You will, yes, eventually.
Okay.
Yep. So it segues. So you have to replay it at least
3 times,
or 4
I think.
times,
right?
yeah, in order to get enough overlap to see all the different areas that you would be going into. The only thing that's still kind of a bummer is I wish that the characters had some sort of interaction with each other, and they don't. Like, I wish it mattered which 3 you picked, because they would have banter back and forth or something like that. But to this point, there is 0 of that.
So do you only pick 3 of the 7, and that's your final pick?
That's who you have for the game until you finish. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you replay the game, and you can pick 3 different ones. And they all have different special abilities, which is kind of cool. So that
is cool.
It's a fair amount of game for $15. It's just that you have to stay with it for about an hour-ish, an hour and a half, until it starts to branch out.
I am going to put aside the $10 I didn't spend on Little Big Planet karting and wait for this to drop to $9.99 and jump in.
Man, you are a miserly son of a bitch.
I'll tell you,
honestly,
you know
what I could do? It came out on Wii U as well.
Yeah.
With the money that I have now from the Digital Deluxe promotion, I have about $10 in store credit on the eShop. I could just buy this.
Let me break your heart on that for a minute. You cannot play it on the gamepad. There's no off-TV support.
Dun dun dun.
Well, shitballs.
Yeah. There is also only local co-op. There is no online co-op.
Well, I don't care. I don't give a shit about that. I never have given a shit about
it. Would be
co-op.
neat online co-op. Because it plays a little like I said, like Trine or like The Lost Vikings, something like that. It would be fun in co-op, but I'm never going to play it local co-op, so it kind of sucks that there's no online.
Your daughters aren't allowed to touch the television?
My daughters wouldn't give a crap about that game.
Okay. So yeah, listen, Little Big Planet karting. So PlayStation Plus, another amazing sale. Like, what is it? There's 13 for 13 it's called. So 50% off 13 select games.
Or 75% off if you're
75% off if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, which is unbelievable. And I went on my PlayStation that night with full intentions of buying Little Big Planet karting for $10 for anyone who's listening. And I even had it in my cart. And I kind of stopped and thought, wasn't really crazy about the demo, but it wasn't that I wasn't crazy about it if this was $30, I'd consider it. I really just didn't like it.
You're just never going to play it. Yeah.
I'm just never going to play it. So it would just be sitting there on my hard drive. I don't want to buy it because it's cheap. I want to buy it because I have some intent to play it eventually.
Exactly.
Well, if you're not going to buy that, what you really should buy on the 13 for 13 sale is House of the Dead Overkill, because it's only like $5.
I bought it when it was 20, actually.
On the PS3?
Yeah.
Cool, so you can play it with the Move?
Yes.
That game is awesome. Everybody should buy that.
What I did pick up was Unfinished Swan for $3.75 or something. I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, how can you go wrong? Most of that other stuff I already had.
Yeah, I like how you went on AIM and you're like, dude, check out the sale. It's so awesome.
Yeah, you were
I looked at the lineup. I was like,
You bastard.
And I'm like, and then he says, well, I already have all that stuff. It's like, yeah, but it's still a good sale. Be excited.
Yeah, it might be a good sale.
So if it was Apple or Microsoft, you would have told me about it.
The games I would have bought out of there were, Ratchet and Clank 1 and Jak and Daxter, and I already have those on the collection, so I don't need to. And Little
Unfinished
Big Planet
one,
karting. How long is it going to be before that's part of the free instant game collection?
$10
See,
for Christ's sake. It's
well, but
functionally free. That is a hell of a lot of game for $10.
You have a good
here's the
point.
problem though. Like
You
the
have a good
problem I feel is, and PlayStation Plus is awesome. Like I think everybody should join it if you have a PS3 because they just have so many great deals and so many free games and demos and stuff. But the problem I see it is Sony is conditioning people to wait for these crazy sales or for these games to be part of the instant game collection.
There's some of that happening.
They were sort of talking about this on this week's Cheap Ass Gamer podcast, where they're conditioning those guys to just wait for the crazy sales, and if you do that enough, it's gonna come back to hurt Sony.
I don't know how strongly I agree with that, because I think the people who will look at something and say, I'll wait until it's free, are people who probably weren't going to buy it for $15 anyway. Because like when Unfinished Swan came out, I wanted that game enough that it didn't matter that someday it would be $5 or free. $15 for it seemed just fine to me, or $10 or whatever I paid for it, and it was.
Yeah. Well, I don't think this is something that happens instantaneously. It's just something that over time people are going to get conditioned. Because if you bought Little Big Planet karting for $40 or $50 2 months ago, and now it's $10 on
that's the more telling part
Plus,
to
you're
me.
like, well, shit, I should have waited. And then the next time this comes up, you're going to maybe not be as quick on the trigger to buy it.
The thing is, though, is you have to wonder how common that's going to be. It seems to me. The message I get from that is that Little Big Planet karting just didn't do very well at retail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Period. So it doesn't.
True.
I'm definitely not to the point now where a new Sony game comes out and like, well, I could buy this for $60, but 2 months from now it'll be $15. Not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Little Big Planet karting is more an example of. I was actually surprised to see that the PlayStation Battle Royale or whatever the hell it's called wasn't part of this too, because it didn't seem like that did very well. Sony didn't have a very good Christmas, first party wise.
No, they didn't.
But I do see what you're saying, and I'm one of those people who is doing that to a point. If the stuff that I'm really dying to play, I'll still buy when it comes out. Yeah, but I've kind of the whole impulse buy thing. I've kind of gotten over it with PS Plus, because I feel like, well, if I'm not going to play that right away anyway, if I wait a few months, I might get it for free, or I might get it half price. It's the same thing that Steam's doing, but I mean, you got to wonder what the volume is when they put those games down in price too, right? Like, are they selling to more people than would have bought them otherwise? I'm guessing they are.
And are they selling more PlayStation Plus memberships? Like, are people who would not spend $50 with them paying $50 to get the membership?
Right.
Maybe.
Good point.
It's a slippery slope, for sure.
It is.
That's why CJ's an accountant.
Not an accountant.
CJ is selling all those games for $20 so we can go rebuy them for $60.
Worth every penny. Thumbs up. All right, so I really want to hear about Escapevektor. Speaking of PlayStation.
No, you don't.
Because
another one to wait for PlayStation Plus discounts on.
This was a game that when they announced that it was coming out this past week on the PlayStation blog, I watched the trailer and I was like, holy shit, this is great. It's a combination of Kicks and Tempest and everything I love about Geometry Wars, and this is going to be amazing. And I guess, first of all, I didn't realize that it's a Vita game, not a PS3. That was strike one.
That'll kill your boner in a hurry.
That did.
That's like a digital FUPA.
I saw there was no demo, so that was number 2, so even lower.
Wow.
And
now it's up as never mind.
Oh god.
It's gone back inside.
It's an innie.
And then I looked for reviews of it online, didn't find any, but luckily, Mr. Mike Phillips, you said that you would have impressions for me this week on the Player One podcast, and then I noticed your next tweet was like, God damn it, or something like, this is shit.
It's not shit, but man, it's not. So I also love Kicks. I think Kicks is awesome. And I love Geometry Wars and all of those other games that you referenced that this seems like it should have been. And maybe it takes a while to get going, not unlike The Cave. But when the game starts off, it is incredibly slow, for one thing, which is kind of a drag. And it has this... So you're on a grid, and you don't freestyle draw like you do in Kicks, right? In Kicks, you're drawing your own areas to capture the grid. In this, the grid is set up, and you are traveling around it and capturing the squares by going all the way around the perimeter. And there are enemies that roam in and out of the maze, kind of Pac-Man style, and they have a preset pattern so that they're predictable and you can figure out when you need to go so that you don't get hit. But it's really slow, and by default, this is the most mysterious, bizarre thing in the whole game. By default, the camera is zoomed in really close on your little ship. You can zoom out, but the way you zoom out is you hold the R button down, and it pulls out so that you can see the entire maze.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a time when you would not want to see the entire maze. So I spend the entire game playing with my index finger on the R trigger, which
That sucks.
is fun for about 12 seconds until my finger starts to feel like shit because it's holding down the R trigger the whole time. So eventually you kind of let off and it zooms back in and you feel completely powerless.
Time to get
I
some
don't know why they
electrical
would do
tape.
that. Yeah. So I looked around in the options, like the toggle for that should be the exact opposite. You should be zoomed out by default, and you hit the R trigger and zoom in.
Yeah.
But again, I have no idea why you would want to zoom in. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So in the beginning, you're just this slow ship going around, traversing the level until you've captured all of the area, and then you escape to the next level. Eventually, it adds things like little guns and bombs and things that you can use against the enemies, and the enemies get a little bit faster, but the game never really gets fast enough, at least not yet. I'm kind of 2 worlds-ish in on it, and it still just remains kind of really slow and plodding and the opposite of what I was hoping this thing would be. It's kind of a bummer.
Okay,
The music's
so
neat.
I
And the
will be
glass-
waiting for that to be free on PS Plus.
Yeah, I would wait if I were you.
It's right up there
Apparently
with Retro City
it's-
Rampage.
Apparently, it's also a game on 3DS. Like, this isn't the first
Oh,
platform
really?
that it's been released on, which I didn't even pay attention to it on 3DS.
Are there any reviews for the 3DS version? I
I
didn't.
haven't looked. Yeah, I didn't look.
Yeah, I would pass on this one if I were you.
Yeah. Yeah, I like when I asked about reviews, I got a tweet from the official Escapevektor account with 3 different sites, all of them I'd never heard of, and I was
Of
like,
course.
well, I'm not going to trust these sites who you gave a code to.
Escapevektor.com, escapevektor.ca, escapevektor.biz.
Yeah, it's like I'm sure you got some positive reviews from Billy Bob's video game blog, but
Gaming Steve loved it.
It's the kind of thing that should be awesome and should be, despite the fact that you did not want it to be a Vita game, should be a perfect little handheld game. But
absolutely.
They kind of fucked it up. a
yeah,
lot.
if it was awesome, I would be buying it on Vita and playing it. But
Right.
apparently, it is not. All right, so should we take a break? Come back,
Sure.
talk Nintendo because there was some Nintendo news.
The hell you
last
say?
week. Yeah, we can talk about THQ dying off, maybe.
Toy
That
headquarters?
sounds
Yeah, well-
uplifting.
We'll do some tweets. What do you think about that?
I like where your head's at.
All right, back in a
Right
few.
there on top of your
Right
neck.
in the center of the screen.
All right, and we're back. In case you forgot, you're listening or watching the Player One Podcast, episode 300.
You may be doing both.
You may be doing both. You may be listening and watching, or watching the YouTube video with mute on. Whatever floats your boat.
That's
really.
what I'd do.
I would do that as well
What would be the point of watching with mute on?
because they want to see.
Same
our
reason you'd play
lovely
Revengers of
faces.
Vengeance with mute on.
They don't like the dialogue, think it's
Yeah.
poorly written, not
Yeah.
very well acted.
We're nothing if not poorly written.
That's true.
Yes. So
Hey,
let's
so
talk
wait,
about...
wait. Before we go any further,
Yes.
Mike has a game he needs to tell me about.
Okay.
some Kickstarter game.
Strike Suit Zero.
Strike Suit Zero.
You definitely need to know about Strike Suit Zero.
I do.
Hey, how is it that you're playing PC games, by the way? Because I didn't know.
Boot camp,
Okay.
yeah.
And does that work pretty well?
Well, it has, but I haven't played anything really graphically demanding.
I don't imagine that this game is hugely graphically demanding.
Okay.
I mean, you could probably play it like in 720p or a lower resolution, and it probably wouldn't matter because the graphics are almost sort of, I don't know, Sylphied-ish. You know, they're still sort of flat rendered polygons, basically. But that works for space.
They're fake impressive.
Yeah, but I mean, other than like the matte painting space backdrop, basically.
Right.
But there aren't a whole lot of space combat games these days, and this is one. And you love a good space combat game.
I do love me a good space combat game.
And this is a pretty good space combat game with some caveats.
Terrible honeymooners simulation, or
boo. The combat is really fun. Like when you're in the thick of it and you have, you know, there are fighters flying all over the place and you're seeing the vapor trails from all of them and lasers going everywhere and missiles flying and you're spinning around. It's really exhilarating and probably as good as any of the best combat simulators, space combat simulators. The problem is it's really hard, which is kind of unfortunate. Right off the bat, like the third or so mission in is an escort mission, which makes sense in a space combat game. I mean, it makes sense that, okay, you have to guard this frigate as it gets to the jump point or whatever. The problem is that it's a little bit unfair. The ships that you're defending are so incredibly defenseless that you have to make a decision. Okay, do I focus on staying with this thing and protecting it and probably get myself killed? Or do I chase the fighters around and take them out, and probably the ship that I'm supposed to be protecting is going to die? And so you'll end up having to replay those a couple of times at least. And the corollary to that is that the checkpoint system in this game is awful. Like you can go an entire 20-minute mission and get to the very end of it with one fighter left to take down, and if he takes you out, you got to start all over again. So you can lose 20 or 30 minutes easily on this game.
Okay, well that's not really
that's
much different than
it's a convention.
Commander.
Yeah, that is a convention of the genre, I suppose, but it's still frustrating because the difficulty can spike on you all of a sudden, or on an escort mission, if the ship you're protecting dies, it can do so a little bit unfairly, because sometimes it's being attacked by these missiles that you can shoot down, but they're a little difficult to see, and there are all sorts of little weird idiosyncrasies that I hope maybe they can fix up with a patch or something like that. But it's really fun.
See, the thing that had me, I mean, space shooter I'm really excited about. Big Wing Commander fan. But then on top of that, looking at the screenshots, and it's like what you were talking about with the dogfighting going on, the vapor trails and all that sort of thing in space. Very much a Macross vibe, which I am a huge fan of Macross. So
yeah, there's definitely that, especially when it takes a few missions in before you get the transforming robot ability. At first you're just a ship, but then eventually you transform into this robot that is really cool. I think you would really enjoy it, actually.
I'm going to have to try it then. I might have to pick that up this week.
Yeah.
I'll take that $10 I didn't spend on Little Big Planet karting.
And then that you didn't spend on the cave, and now it's going to be...
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There you go.
All right. So, hey, let's do it.
Wait, before we keep going, so just give me one thing, though, I'm curious about, because it's a 3D game. So when you transform, like what's the mechanic there exactly? Like, you still just sort of a vertical version of a fighter plane flying around now, or
it's less mobile, you know. Okay. So it's more like you're sort of a little bit more stuck in space and turret-like spinning, and you know. So you're powerful, but you're less mobile than when you're a ship.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
sounds neato.
Tis.
Excellent. All right, let's quickly read an iTunes review.
Checking my iPhone.
Which, you guys listening, please leave us iTunes reviews, because that helps us in potentially getting featured on iTunes, getting more people to listen, which is always awesome. I'm going to read this 5-star review from hacker alias Mudron.
Heard of him?
This is an old one from February 7th, 2007.
What?
He says, finger-tentingly excellent.
Don't know what that means.
But I'm sure it's gross.
I'm sure that it is. He says, one of the best gaming podcasts on the web, second only to One Up Yours, really.
That means we're first.
Fuck you. I take offense to that.
Despite the fact that the hosts are old enough to have dated Amelia Earhart.
Wow.
Excellent.
That's the whole review?
That's the whole review. That's it. 5 stars.
So we're second only to a defunct gaming podcast.
Yes,
is good.
But they were still alive on
No,
February
we're not going to go
7th,
into that.
2007. So.
6 years ago.
Who's the best video game podcast now? One of yours.
We're number
We've
4.
outlasted you. So let's talk about Nintendo and their announcements from this past week.
Hey, can we just go to any random gaming blog and read all the hatred?
Yeah.
He's just
sure.
been waiting the
Same
whole
article.
episode for this. His boner is returning. Don't ruin this for him.
Sorry.
What do you mean my boner is returning? It never went away. Wind
What
Waker
was with this thing
HD.
that you were doing when you
Thank
were...
God that
Perm-
camera's
perma-
pointing up.
Wind Waker HD, and it was all right like that. Wind Waker HD. Anyway.
I've changed my mind and I no longer want to think about you with an erection.
So yeah, Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct on Wednesday. What are you doing, Greg?
Nothing.
And they announced a ton of stuff.
All the stuff you expected.
All the stuff that you, as someone who's been shitting on the Wii U, have been using as an excuse not to love the Wii U, they announced on Wednesday. So, Virtual Console on the Wii U coming this spring, and to kick it off, they went ahead and released Balloon Fight.
Which you stupidly bought.
It's 30 cents, dude. 30 cents, and I had all of that credit from the digital download promotion, so I paid nothing for it.
Mm-hmm.
Was I the only one that actually picked it up? I guess Phil did.
There's no way I'm doing it.
So, Virtual Console on the Wii U, you can play games on the gamepad.
When I want to play Balloon
Reverse
Fight, I just hook up my
integration.
e-card reader.
Exactly. Balloon Fight, not a very good game.
No, it is a good game, actually. I think it's a good game, but my problem
Eh.
is that I own like 3,000 copies of it. I don't think I've ever bought one of them, but I just somehow I have tons. That's one of those games you just have a ton of copies of for all these promotions and was that one of the Ambassador games?
I think so.
If not, it should have been. So
Yeah.
anyway, I love the idea. The whole idea of the 30 to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Famicom. It's the 30 games for 30 cents thing. I just can't wait for a game I want to.
It's not
Or what
30
is-
games for
10
30
games?
cents. It's
many
it
games
runs
is it?
until July. They pick a game and they make it 30 cents for 30
Okay.
days.
So 5 games, they were 30 cents then.
Yeah.
The point being, I can't wait to see what the other games are, and I hope it's not fucking.
Well,
Super-
they announced what they are, right?
Oh, what are they?
February
Tell me
is
it's Super Mario Brothers.
F-Zero. March
that's
is
good.
Punch-Out, I think. There are a couple good ones.
I would definitely do F-Zero. I'd love to have F-Zero playable on the tablet. That's
Yeah, and that's the big benefit is all these games are off TV play compatible.
that
They
is
have
cool.
save states. They have Miiverse communities now, which is kind of nice. And they also announced that you will be able to upgrade any Virtual Console titles that you bought on the Wii to Wii U for $1 for most regular NES games, and Super Nintendo I think is $1.50 to upgrade them to Wii U and give them off TV play and the save state stuff and Miiverse communities. So I think that's a pretty good
Crickets.
deal. It's $1. I'll upgrade a couple games. I'm sure.
I might upgrade a couple games. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to upgrade everything that I bought
No.
previously, but yeah. They announced Wind Waker HD. I'm not going in
Woo!
order. at this point. And they also announced that they were working on another Zelda game.
which everyone was shocked by.
Yeah.
They're doing what?
The
Yeah.
Wind Waker HD, that's not just an HD. I mean, they've
No.
done stuff to it, right?
They're doing
They've kinda
stuff to
reworked?
it, yes.
Okay.
They're tuning it, and the graphics have been upgraded.
Yeah, it looks
significantly.
really nice.
It looks
It does
gorgeous.
look nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think a little
I'm
bit too
glad
much bloom on some of that lighting, but that's about it.
I love Wind Waker's probably my favorite Zelda game, but I've never played it more than once. So I'm actually very excited because it's been long enough that I don't remember all the details about it. So I'm really looking forward to play that again. Actually,
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, and none of the stuff that they announced is like, oh my god, surprising. It's like new Zelda game. All right, they're working on a new Mario game. All right, a new
Yeah,
Smash
the
Brothers game.
headline
All
could
right,
have
like
the headline could have just been Nintendo to continue releasing Nintendo games.
yeah, exactly.
exactly. They're doing a new Mario Kart. I mean, none of this stuff is shocking, really. I mean, the big announcements in terms of surprises, I guess, were the new Xenogears game from
That looks
Soft,
amazing.
which looks
my
really,
God.
really good. And then that Persona and Fire Emblem game,
Yeah, that's weird. I wonder how that's going to work.
Atlas, and Intelligent Systems. Which I'm not sure if that means it's actually Persona crossed with Fire Emblem, or if it's just the Atlas and Intelligent.
Except, isn't it
Systems.
called Persona Cross Fire Emblem?
Well, yeah, that's what they put up on the screen. So I don't know how they're going to do that. We'll see.
Seems
Could be
to me
interesting.
That's what
I hope it's as good as that whatever that Sega mashup thing is that
Oh,
people posted earlier this week.
They announced that they're bringing that here. What's that called? It's
I
like
can't
Namco
remember.
cross Capcom cross Sega, I think.
Ugh,
And
man.
I remember hearing about it back in the day, and then promptly forgot about it. And then they announced this week that someone's bringing. I think it's Exceed is bringing it here.
Yeah.
And I got excited about it again. And then I went and looked at it and realized why I'd forgotten about it so fast the first time.
Kind of
It looks-
stinky.
Ugh. Yeah, I don't care about it at all.
I am excited about that Xenoblade, Xenogears, Xeno something
Yes.
game. It looks really cool. But it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, it's kind of like. I guess it's reassuring that Nintendo can make a game that looks comparable to current gen games, but it doesn't look objectively. It does not look exactly mind blowing. I mean, it looks like a current gen game. It's
Oh, it
Oh,
looks
yeah.
really good.
Nintendo
But
games
this
don't
the
have to
style
look
is-
like a hard boiled asshole,
the
basically.
style is nice. It's
Yeah.
like there's one scene in particular that I keep seeing over and over again, which is the GIF you see everywhere now, where he jumps into that
The
mecha.
mech, yeah, that's pretty cool.
It looks nice. I mean, that's a really nice looking scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks a little sparse, but I guess that's because it's unfinished.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
Yep.
But
like
yeah,
a swan.
a little bit. It looks really cool though.
Yeah. This is very uncharacteristic of Nintendo to have a press conference like this where they pre-announce all of these games. Like they generally don't do that.
It's been pretty quiet for 2 months now.
It has been pretty quiet, yeah, and a lot of pundits got on Nintendo's case for this.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of expect a lull after a system launch, but not to the degree there has been here.
Yeah, but how do you mean? It's only been 2 or 3 months. And
Yeah.
in February, we're getting Rayman Legends, and then in March, we get Lego City Undercover. Made in Wario comes out in Japan in March, so I'm sure that'll come out in the US fairly quickly.
Okay, but now
Pikmin 3 is-
you're saying it's been 2 or 3 months, but now you're talking about 6 months. Like, that's the thing.
February is a few days away, and Rayman Legends comes out at the end of it.
Okay, so
So
you're
is
talking
that-
about 4 or 5 months then.
4 or 5 weeks from now, Rayman
The
Legends.
point
comes out.
being is that there's been quite a lull. There's been the Wii U. The only reason the Wii U's been in the media at all in the last month and a half is because there's been nothing to play on it. There's been nothing going on. Period.
Right.
So that's
Sure,
why
but
they've been
what-
doing it. That's all I'm saying.
What system has had the perfect launch where 3 months after release there's a ton of AAA games for it? I mean, generally, it's an unrealistic expectation to say, all right, this system comes out in November, then I expect every month for there to be a AAA release. Because
I'm not
at
even
this
saying
point-
that.
at this point, the previous generation consoles are overlapping it. So there are a lot of great games coming out for Xbox 360 and PS3 now. So that, I think, only makes it clearer that there's nothing coming out for
exactly.
Wii U. Yeah,
the Wii U doesn't exist in a vacuum.
When you look at the launches of the Xbox 360 or the PS3, they had similar droughts. Like, yes, there were awesome games released in those first years.
I agree.
But mostly is towards the end of those first years, and I don't see any reason why the Wii U couldn't bounce back from whatever this is, this lull.
Oh, I'm not. No, you're reading way too much into what I just said. I'm not saying that it's in trouble. You were saying that it was uncharacteristic of Nintendo to have a press conference or a Nintendo Direct like this. What I'm saying is that it's been so quiet on the Wii U front, and that's no one's talking about it anymore. So they needed to do something to get people talking about that system again, get people a little bit more excited about it again, because it has been kind of dead since the launch. And if you go back, the launch really wasn't all that exciting. I mean, we've talked about that on this show a fair amount. I mean, the launch lineup was not really all that exciting, and you take that, what's basically a mediocre lineup, and you stretch it over 3 months. It's that much worse. I'm not saying the system's in trouble. I'm just saying that it doesn't surprise me that Nintendo would do something. I think it was smart of them to do something like this, even though all they're really doing is coming out and telling us what we all knew. So there's a Zelda coming, there's a Mario coming, there's a Mario Kart coming, there's a Smash Brothers on the way. Like, we knew all that, but they needed to do something to get people excited. I was really happy to hear about the Mario 3D Land team working on the next Mario game. That gets me excited about the system. I don't know when I'm going to play it, but, at least I know it's on the way.
And Wind Waker HD, huh?
And Wind Waker HD, yeah. Yes. Is this the new thing? We're going to show our fake erections every time we talk about something we're excited about?
That's right. Exactly.
Next week we start showing the real ones.
Yeah. This is a dry run, so to speak.
Yikes. All right. Yeah, I mean, Mike, you haven't bought a Wii U. Did these announcements have any effect whatsoever on your opinion of the system?
On my opinion of it? No, I always thought it was a cool system, and my assessment
propensity to purchase the Wii U.
Yeah, when some of these games are out, then I can buy one.
Yeah.
I was kind of bummed to hear that they didn't say much about what other consoles might be covered on Virtual Console. So are we assuming now that it's only Nintendo consoles from now on? Or because that was one of the nice things about Virtual Console. Right, yeah. Because back when they launched Virtual Console, they were very vocal about the fact that there were going to be Genesis games and Master System and TurboGrafx and eventually Neo Geo, and then some arcade games as well, and Commodore 64 eventually. There was 4 of those. Yeah. So the fact that there was total silence on that front and really all we got was information on NES and Super Nintendo. And maybe Game Boy Advance? I don't remember.
No. Game Boy Advance is Virtual Console on the DS and 3DS.
Okay. I was kind of, I don't know if the omission means that it's not happening or they just happen to not say anything right now. I hope that it's the latter.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Virtual Console, I've already sort of bought everything that I wanted on that. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope they expand the library.
Like on the regular Nintendo and Super Nintendo, I'm not sure what they haven't released already that I would really want. I guess Earthbound, but that's being released in Japan in March and never in the US. So I don't think there are many other games on Virtual Console that I want.
I think the interesting thing about all this to me is, okay, now what do they show at E3? If they've shown a screen of Super Smash Brothers and a screen of a new Mario 3D game is probably not going to be all that exciting compared to what Microsoft and Sony are showing at E3. So what else do they have?
I'm guessing at least one of those two will be playable in some form.
Think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe in the new Mario Kart.
Yeah. Well. I think a lot of the stuff they talked about you'll see in motion. Maybe not all definitely playable, but you'll see video of it at least. I'd say you'll see Wind Waker.
Yes.
You'll definitely see Wind Waker, yeah.
because that was hard running.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's say we do some tweets. How do you feel about that? Feel good about that?
I feel indifferent about it. Strongly indifferent.
Strongly indifferent. All right. Then let's do this one from Hacker Alias. Do Code Red 2.
Oh, Jesus.
Who says, I'm going to get a Wii U soon. What is the best game out right now for Wii U? And do
Nintendo
you
Land.
think GTA will come out for the Wii U? Grand
That's a
Theft
good
Auto
question.
on the Wii U.
I'm curious about all of the 360 and PS3 games that are coming out soon but have not been announced for Wii U. Do we just assume that they're not going to be on the Wii U, or do we assume that they are going to be on the Wii U because porting them isn't that big of a deal?
I think we should assume that they're not.
Well, that's a real pisser then.
And actually, I bought Assassin's Creed 3 on the Wii U and have regretted that purchase because it's not getting the patch love that the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions are getting. And
Yeah, definitely that dipping the toe in the water feel.
yeah, anytime I see, I think it might be the Cave, where there's a patch coming for the Cave for PS3 and 360. Nothing said about the Wii U version. So, I mean, that's just putting me off of
That's a drag.
playing multi-platform games on the Wii U.
And I'd say that my initial inkling would be that maybe Nintendo makes patching their games a little bit difficult, but I mean, just from playing Sonic, that's not the case. Sonic's been
No,
patched
yeah, and
a couple
Microsoft
times
and
now, I
Sony would be harder than Nintendo on patches.
I
know.
don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's too bad.
Best game, though, I still think New Super Mario Bros. U is the best game
I don't know. I haven't played it.
on the Wii U. You
I
played
think
it.
I think Rayman is. I think the Rayman,
Rayman demo?
is.
The Rayman demo is the killer app. And yeah, and that comes out at the end of February. Very excited about that. All right, Hacker Alias 2D Kicks says, what are your thoughts on Wii U Virtual Console trial and $1 and $1.50 Wii to Wii U upgrade fees so you can play your old Virtual Console games on the gamepad?
Did I miss this somehow? Are they doing trials for the games on Virtual Console?
The trial, I think, is the balloon fight for 30 cents thing.
Oh,
Is the, yeah. Because Virtual Console isn't technically launched on the Wii U at this point. It's just Balloon Fight.
Just ambassadors?
Just Balloon Fight. Yeah. Nice cough there, by the way.
Thanks.
I went through last week's show, and my God, how
They were
many?
way
You
fewer
must have coughed like 20 times. I took them out of the audio, thank God. I was thinking actually of
editing.
yeah, I was thinking of stringing them all along as the zinger at the end. That would have been great.
I love that we love to make fun of my health issues. That's good.
You should get that checked.
Who says I haven't?
Well, you're in Canada. You have that free national health care. You should get on that. Anyway, so $1 and $1.50 for the upgrade.
I don't know. I don't feel really strongly about it. It was funny because our forum kind of that thread lit up because there were people like you going in praising Nintendo for doing it.
I mean, it's $1. I don't care. Like,
and then there were people calling you an idiot, a complete idiot for praising Nintendo for doing it.
To be fair, I'm not praising Nintendo for charging me $1.
Shit. I'm just giving you shit.
$1.50. I'm glad they are doing anything at all because they wouldn't technically have to, and that it's $1 and $1.50, not $2, $5, whatever.
I don't feel really strongly about it either way. Like we were saying earlier, there's probably a couple games that I'll pay the buck so that I can play on the controller. Like ActRaiser is probably one because I'll play that game
awesome.
multiple times a year. I love that game.
Yeah.
So I'd like to have that on a semi-portable device for sure.
Well, and you can also customize the controls on the Wii U Virtual Console, so you can use the wireless gamepad or
and save states and all that stuff.
The regular gamepad or the Pro controller you can use, which.
So yeah, I mean, like I'll definitely pay $1 or $1.50 for that kind of convenience for some of them. But I don't feel strongly about it otherwise, unless they turn around tomorrow and say, "Oh, and all that stuff won't work under the Wii shell that you get through the Wii U."
Yeah.
But the
They're
only
not
thing
going to
that
do that, though. I mean, they're not that stupid, right? They're not Sony.
Nice.
Yeah. The only thing that kind of worries me is that I don't want to spend the next year watching Nintendo trickle out one or two games that have been available on the Wii Virtual Console for 5 years.
Sure.
You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I agree. I agree.
I don't have my hopes up there, but that's what I'm not really looking forward to is sort of like, here's Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels sometime this October, because that's when they got around to it in their stupid policy of releasing one or two games a week.
I mean, that's what they're going to be doing.
I know, and that's what I'm not looking forward to. That's what I'm saying.
What would you rather have? 1 week?
I'd rather
games?
that everything. Honestly, I'd rather that everything that's available for Virtual Console right now is available when Virtual Console gets launched on the Wii U.
Except I think it's an easier sell if you're a business, not to release 50 games at once, which your audience only buys one of, and stretch.
Hey, I agree with you.
Weeks, and maybe they'll buy
I agree with
more.
you, and if I was speaking for one of those publishers, I would be totally on board. But I'm speaking as someone who owns the system.
Okay, there you go. And that's fair.
CJ always has his publisher hat on.
Yeah, I see that.
I always do. It's true. All right, so Hacker Alias
CJ's for microtransactions.
Ren666 says, is Ni no Kuni going to be the surprise must-play game of 2013?
It is so far.
So far, so good.
There's a ton of possible must-play games for 2013 coming out in the next 3 months, though.
Yeah. And I don't know how much of a surprise Ni no Kuni is. People have been waiting for it for a long time.
True.
Yeah, I thought it looked great when it was a 3DS game that we didn't get here because of the it came with the book, and it would have been too much of a hassle to.
So with the 3DS game, did you actually have to draw the spells? Because wow, does it ever look like that's the way it's supposed to work?
Yeah, it seems like it when you see those symbols.
Yeah, it's just like there's part of me, and I don't really want this to happen, but there was part of me that was thinking, I'm waiting for it to tell me to take my Move controller and actually start drawing the spells.
God. No.
I'm glad they don't, but it's kind of like the game looks like it's built to be played that way.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, Hacker Alias. Let's do Hacker Alias Swim Odin, who says, what's the worst gaming peripheral or accessory you own?
That I own?
Yeah.
This question is better with Kinect.
I don't know.
Peripheral you own.
Kinect might be mine. It's actually gotten less use than the ridiculous Move gun thing that I have, and my DJ Hero table, and the absurd, what is that controller that I got for Gran Turismo, HK something or other, where the gas pedal is a little thing for your thumb. I've used all of those, I think, more than I've used Kinect. Kinect was my Child of Eden player, and that was about it.
See, my kids use the Kinect all the time, so I can't really say that.
That's good.
I can't think of the worst one that I own. Probably the two that got the least amount of use were the Steel Battalion controller and the old Xbox Eye or whatever the hell it was called, the first webcam. Remember that thing?
Yeah. What was the game? Totem Ball? Something?
Yes, Totem Ball. That's it. I looked at it more as an Uno schlong viewer, but
yeah.
Uno meaning one, because you only want to see one schlong.
The one schlong. But when you said worst peripheral, if it wasn't one you owned, the first thing that I thought of was the Activator. Do you remember the Activator?
Oh, God.
Of course I remember the Activator.
That thing was great. Set up this octagon on your floor.
I think on YouTube, actually, there's a video of the setup video for the Activator, because it came with a VHS tape on how to set it up. That's how great it was. Anyway, it's funny.
I got a podcast peripheral.
Oh, there
Greg's
you go.
video feed just got considerably cuter.
Yeah. You got any smiles?
Aww.
Or are you just gonna beat me up for everybody again?
I have a Dance Dance Revolution pad that is, it's maybe like this big. It's
For your fingers?
It's for your
I
fingers,
remember that
yes.
thing.
That is absurd.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think it lights up too when you press on the directionals.
I have the one
It's just that good.
that snaps over your Game Boy Color.
Oh, I have that one as well.
I'd forgotten about that.
And I have the one that it's not even the regular DDR mat. It's the one that has cushioning inside of it that I bought in Japan and
I remember that
stuffed in
thing.
my suitcase to bring home.
There's a lot of DDR played at CJ's apartment in Illinois.
That's true. I think the balance board might actually be the worst one, considering how much use it's gotten, which is nothing.
Oh yeah, the Wii Fit board.
Wii Fit.
Yeah, I think we used that for a month.
Yeah,
and but
that
might even be generous.
Indeed. All right. Let's do this one. This is a relevant topic. Hacker alias Cheese Bills asks,
Cheese bills are always relevant.
how many hours a week do you guys spend playing games now that you all have kids? I'll have kids based on your responses.
Half an hour.
I hit it pretty hard on the weekends. I stay up late Friday nights, Saturday nights, do some on Sunday, so I don't know. Maybe 10 hours a week, maybe.
That's about the same for me.
Yeah.
About 10. Yeah.
During the week, Monday through Thursday, not a whole lot. I'll play some iPad stuff and some Vita stuff, but I usually don't fire up the consoles or the PC during the week.
Yeah.
Mostly for me, it's as long as the kids are awake, there aren't video games being played unless they're games that they can play and that they want to play.
Yeah.
Well, because you're worried about them being exposed to the violent video games that you usually play.
Yeah, like that Metal Gear demo. Here's a sword through the chest.
That's part of it.
And over.
More of it is that I would never get away with doing something like that if they weren't involved. My wife would leave me. So
Yes.
Good to know.
Yeah, I'm probably
she may
around
still
the same
anyway.
as you guys, maybe 5-6 hours a week, mostly on the weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'm almost done with the first Infamous. That's awesome.
Attaboy. Keep with it.
He's been playing it since it launched.
Exactly. All right, let's do this one from Hacker alias Chris Flavin, who says, favorite use of the 6-axis / DualShock 3's motion controls?
Probably Flower.
Definitely Flower. Yeah. I also really liked Twing Twang in Heavenly Sword. I thought that worked really well. It was cool. Being able to guide arrows through, doorways and into...
Oh, yeah, the arrows that you
cool.
could control after you shot them.
Exactly. Yep. I thought that was cool.
That was dumb.
You're dumb. Phil just sent me an email and said that your face is dumb, and I should tell you.
Yeah, I would say Flower, or Infamous actually has a DualShock attack.
Oh, that's
tornado
right.
Attack.
That's right. I forgot about that.
So,
that's kind of cool.
I was using that this week. I was like, oh, wait. Games actually use this 6-axis motion control BS? Yes.
I really like balancing on a log in Uncharted. That never got old.
No, I'm glad most games have ditched the motion control stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or use it sparingly. Anyway. All right, let's do this one. From hacker alias Van Deventerdan. Who
that
asks,
might be Dutch.
It might be. Could be. He says, what neglected / dead THQ property would you buy if you had the money?
Home Alone.
Sphinx and Cursed Mummy for me.
Oh, wow. Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. I remember that game. Didn't they do Dr. Muto, or was that...
That was Midway.
Oh, that was Midway.
Dr. Muto was Midway.
I would say Darksiders, because apparently I could get it for like a penny.
And nobody bought it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
Nobody bid on it, so I can have it for a penny.
Yeah.
I would buy Volition just so they'd start doing free space games again.
You should buy Strike Suit Zero.
I'm going to.
All right.
Maybe.
I don't know. There aren't really any THQ licenses that excite me all that much.
Yeah, same here.
Which is the reason why THQ is gone now.
Yeah, the Relic stuff is probably my favorite, but that's well taken care of at this point.
I was glad to see that most of those groups got snapped up somewhere.
Yeah.
So was my daughter.
Oh my god.
She's pissed about Vigil not being purchased.
Yeah, she's a big Darksiders fan.
All right. Let's do this last one, I guess. From hacker alias avcodlog, who says, who was responsible for the phrase wonky controls as a description for game controls, and how did that catch on?
I believe it was Roald Dahl in his novel Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes. We can blame, I don't know who did that first. ECM?
ECM. No. It's been around longer than him, hasn't it?
Dave Halverson?
Maybe. Only it'd probably be closer to sexy controls if it was Dave writing it.
If only the internet could help us find the etymology of a word.
Wonky
That would help us
controls.
all. I think it was Jonathan Colton, and then someone else
And then
just
Glee
stole
ripped it
credit
off.
for it. Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Yeah, do you guys want to comment on that? Because we got that important tweet from USFH Bomb. Comments on Jonathan Colton and Glee.
I don't feel bad that someone did a
Nice.
cover of his cover.
Yeah.
I have no opinion.
I really have no opinion either.
Yeah. I mean, his was a cover in the first place. He's upset that they stole his arrangement, but really, he's kind of stealing that whole concept of dorky white guy doing gangsta rap song anyway from people like Ben Folds when he did Bitches Ain't Shit, or Dynamite Hack doing Boys in the Hood, so,
Or the stutter rap.
You just got more famous than you have been in a long time for when they
That's
ripped
funny,
that
because
off,
that's
so whatever.
Fox's defense of the whole thing,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, except they didn't credit him
Except
at
they didn't
all.
credit him.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So how is he going to get any more exposure at
It's,
all?
I don't
it's
know,
secret
how-
exposure.
How much credit should you get for doing a cover of a cover? It's a little weird.
Yeah. I don't know. They ripped off the arrangement exactly.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty
that's
embarrassing
kind of
that they...
that's a raw deal for sure.
Like, even saying JC instead of, he switched the lyrics from Mix-a-Lot's in trouble, he says JC's in trouble, and Glee says JC. No one's named JC. That's weird. Pretty shameless.
It is
but
shameless.
oh
It's
well.
television,
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm sure they knew that they were not in any sort of legal hot water for doing what they did.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the conversation has quickly gone from a legal one to an ethical one, really.
right. And a lot of people are concerned about the ethics of Glee.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
know I am.
And that baby sound means we're at the end of the episode.
Hell yeah.
Alrighty, and that's our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a comment or question for us, please direct that to @P1Podcast on the Twitters, or you can go to our internet interactive website at player1podcast.com. You'll find our email addresses, blog entries, Generation 16 episodes.
Speaking of games that I'm going to hate right to the end, Phantasy Star 3 is another one that I'm trying to play through, which is why episode 8 is taking so long. So go watch episode 7 again.
Yes. Watch it two
Love
more
it.
times. Once
Caress
for me.
it.
Yes. And you'll find a message board there where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners. Who wants to do the fill part?
I'll do the fill part.
Do it.
If you would like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by going to player1podcast.com or by going to the iTunes Music Store. While you're at the iTunes Music Store, you can invest $1.99.
Do I say cheap?
Yeah.
You do now.
Cheap.
For the Player One iPhone app. Gives you one-touch communication with us via the voicemails, the emails, the Twitters, the what-have-yous, as well as every one of our episodes for streaming or download.
It's true.
And hey, Android cell phone telephone users.
Wow, you did
can
not do
also
justice to that at
invest
all.
$1.99 USD,
Do I say cheap for this one as well?
or whatever you like,
Cheap.
to get the Player One iPhone Android app.
iPhone Android app?
Sure, why not? Can also catch us on Stitcher Radio.
Yeah.
Did somebody
And-
say skitchin?
And on YouTube, the weeks that CJ's here, where we stream and
That's
also
right.
archive
And you can
video
watch-
versions.
Yeah, you can watch the full episodes at YouTube/Player
Watch.
One Podcast.
3
Spelled all
or
out.
4 incredibly ugly, awkward men speak to cameras. Isn't that everything he says?
That's about it. Yeah.
That's it.
It's plenty.
CJ,
Yes.
thanks for hosting this week.
Sure. And I was on Phil's podcast this weekend.
Oh yeah, Phil does another podcast.
Well,
So do you.
Yeah.
Why don't you,
I'm
why don't you
going to
get
plug
those?
both of those.
Plug them. Yeah, do it.
First of all, I was on Points of Articulation, which is Justin Cheng and Phil Theobald's action figure podcast. But this week they weren't talking about action figures. They were talking about the Ranma 1/2 live action movie.
Frightening.
Oh, God.
Yeah, which we all watched and commented on. It's pretty good. Pretty good
Did you do a
episode.
riff track for it?
No.
You should have.
Yeah, maybe next time. So check that out. Points of Articulation is the name of that podcast. And I also am on a movie podcast called the Stream On Show, where we find
Stream on, stream away. What?
cool, odd, funny, quirky movies on Netflix instant streaming, and we talk about them over lunch. It's a podcast I do with a couple
That
of
sounds familiar.
coworkers. That does sound familiar.
Over lunch. Would you call that a
Well,
lunch cast?
I figure that nobody is using the Lunchcast
Yeah.
concept anymore, so
It
I
is
can just
more
go ahead
abundant.
and take that.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
I feel like Jonathan Colton right now.
As long as they don't use your arrangement, they're fine.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike.
Exactly.
Yes,
so
sir.
wait, you can go
Oh,
to
I'm sorry.
streamonshow.com for that one.
Okay. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Greg.
Thank you for joining us this week.
Thank you.
You are the
Android cell
sexiest
phone
member of
telephone
this
users.
podcast.
Thanks. I
But
didn't
that's
even
not really
do the
saying
boner
much.
thing.
No, you didn't. That's what made you the sexiest member. All right. That's it.
All right, next week.
We'll see you all next week.
Let's do it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Knock yourself out.